Hi, I'm Brandi Carlile here at Borders to talk about some of my favorite books, movies, and music. And right now we're in the book section. And one of my favorite authors of all time, Cormac McCarthy. I've read so many of his books, and I think he's one of the greatest American writers of all time. He makes me speak differently, affects my songwriting and the way I see the world. Not always, though, because some of his books are not for the faint of heart. They're very dark. And another one that's not for the faint of heart, The Outer Dark, is like set in this like Appalachian setting where again there's people on a journey trying to find something, and that's a reoccurring theme in his books. And this one is dark. You might want to be careful, not for kids. Child of God is probably the darkest one that Cormac McCarthy's ever written, I think. Same thing, set in early American Appalachian times, and it's about these sort of caves in the Tennessee hills and this man that roams them. It's pretty amazing. So Cormac McCarthy in general is just a brilliant writer, and the way that he uses the early English language, the early American English version of the English language is really inspiring to me as a songwriter. I feel weird even talking about him because some of them are so dark that it's like you don't want, some 16-year-old to go, okay, great, I'm going to read Child of God. Yeah. The language is amazing, and it's brilliant.
That's great.
Yeah. This is The Neverending Story, and it's my favorite movie of all time. It's a metaphor, basically, for the imagination, and it's also just a fun, fictitious fantasy movie for nerds. It's about the concept of this thing they call the nothing, which I believe is sort of like the imposition of society on the imagination, taking away all the magic of this special land that they all live in called Fantasia. I'm really revealing my geekiness here, but I have the Orin tattooed on each of my shoulders. For real, because it's been my favorite movie since I was a little kid, and my mother told me that if I was going to get a tattoo, it was going to have to be something I would never regret, so I'll never regret The Neverending Story. As far as music goes, this is an amazing record, and it's just representative, basically, of the music that Johnny Cash made towards the end of his life. I've always been a massive Johnny Cash fan since I was a kid. I was really immersed in the Grand Ole Opry culture with my family. And some of the music that Johnny Cash made towards the end of his life with Rick Rubin is so profound that his voice, sometimes I have to be in the right state of mind to hear it, because it almost makes me feel like he's got this weight to his voice, like he's the voice of God or something. When he sings When the Man Comes Around, you feel like you're in trouble. Katie Lang, I believe this one's Ingenue, and her most recent one is called Watershed. I think that she's one of my favorite voices right now, making music right now. And some of my favorite voices of all time, Patsy Cline, Freddie Mercury, they're gone, and I find her to be so reminiscent of how I feel when I listen to those voices. So, I consider Katie Lang to be, a singer, and a singer's singer. So to listen to her voice really sets the bar high for singers like me to want to get to that level someday. Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy, greatest record of all time, possibly, in my opinion. It's thematic, lyrically, and musically. Its production is completely cohesive. It's absolutely fantastic, so to speak. It's an autobiographical story written by Bernie Taupin about Elton John and the two of them and how they relate to each other. And it's unbelievable. When I find myself having writer's block, I'll read this lyric book front to back like I've never heard it before and try and gain new perspective, and I learn something new every time. It's my favorite record, and I love Elton John and Bernie Taupin. When you hear like these things, it's like Bernie Taupin, he's sort of criticizing Elton John. That's why the record's called Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. And Elton John's having to sing these things about himself. These critical, like, introspective things he's having to sing about himself, like on the line that says, the old diehards on Denmark Street start laughing at the keyboard player's hollow, haunted eyes. He's singing that about himself, you know. So anyway, I find that to be, yeah, it's a little bit scathing.
Yeah.
He doesn't write his own lyrics, you know, so it's just a little bit scathing. And then their most recent record, The Captain and the Kid, is like the sequel to that, and it sort of brings it all together in this like peaceful, we're all grown up way that's really special. Yeah.